Most physical therapy clinics have a Google Business profile, but very few have one that's actually working for them. And to be honest, that's a big problem because your Google Business profile is one of the biggest factors that determines whether or not you show up on Google Maps. So if you've ever searched for physical therapists near me and wondered why your clinic isn't showing up, this video is going to be for you. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, definitely suggest hopping over to the YouTube channel. I'm going to be going over examples of where you can update your Google Business profile and what all of this looks like. It's going to be totally fine on the audio version, but definitely head on over to the YouTube channel. Because in the next few minutes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the 6 steps to set up and optimize your Google Business profile the right way so new patients can actually find you online. They can build some trust and they'll actually book with you. So let's dive into it. I'm going to share my screen here and we are going to go into these 6 things. So the first thing is going to be making sure that you have your Google Business profile properly verified. Okay. So what I see when I'm looking at clinics' Google Business profiles is that they set up their account, but they don't touch it after they open things up. Okay. So they'll open their PT clinic up, they'll set up their Google Business profile, but kind of just hit skip, and then they'll move on because they have bigger fish to fry, which, listen, I totally understand, but this is something that you cannot skip. There's a couple different things that you have to think about when you're verifying your Google Business profile. Okay, so when you go into your account and you can see this is all going to live right directly in your Google Business profile. So you can go in, and if you are looking at your Google Business profile on Google itself, you should have this little verification badge. It's going to be a little blue check mark that's going to live right directly inside of your Google Business profile. You can see it when you search for your clinic. And that's going to mean that you're verified. But if you're not, Google's going to certainly tell you if you're verified. But the reason that this is so important is because we want to do everything we can to tell Google that you're a legit business and you're still actually in business. And verifying and re-verifying when Google asks you to re-verify, which it will over time, this stuff is super important. You know, this gets into the Google Ads side of things as well. You need to go through advertising verification. Google just wants to trust that you're a legit business. So really, step 1 is verifying your Google Business profile. So a couple things that you may need to do when you're actually verifying your account. It might ask you to send over a video, which is the most common way to verify your actual business account right now. So what it'll have you do when you go in and when you go to verify things, you can go in, and if you go directly into the settings of your Google Business profile, you can see that there's a little verify now button. You can hit that, and then it's going to prompt you. It's either just going to verify you, or it's going to ask you to do a handful of things. Again, one of those things is going to be sending in a video. It's pretty easy. You can just walk through your clinic, you shoot that video, you shoot the outdoor, you shoot just like the sign of your name at your actual location. You send it in, and you should get verified within the next handful of days. The way they used to do it was they used to send you a postcard. So you would get mailed a postcard. There would be a QR code that you would then have to verify, and then you were good to go. Again, what Google's verifying here is that you actually have a legit business. So sending in that video, and then you can actually receive mail. So this is actually your mailing address. So really what they're verifying here is that you're just in business and you actually have a location. What Google does with unverified Google Business profiles is it's not going to rank them. And even if you will show up, certainly, because you do have that account, but you're going to show up too far down in the search results, and new patients, it's going to be really hard for them to find you. So you need to make sure that you're verified. This is the number one thing. If you're ever having any sort of trouble with this, definitely feel free to reach out to me. Happy to walk you through these steps, but Google will tell you straight up what you need to do. This is really easy for brick and mortar clinics. So if you do have a location and you have an actual standalone space, you shouldn't have any problem with this verification process. Where this gets a little trickier is for some of the clinics that are out there that might be doing mobile, or you have a location inside of a CrossFit gym, or if you're doing some sort of like concierge service area. So you do definitely need a location and an actual address space. So if you are a mobile, if you're going to say you're going to people's homes, or you're treating out of a handful of different gyms, you don't don't actually have a standalone space. You're going to need some sort of address. So this can be a co-working space. It can certainly be your own home as well. I definitely suggest against that. But, renting some sort of office space, a couple $100 a month is going to be worth it to actually verify your profile. So again, even if you don't have your own standalone space, you're going to want to make sure that you have some sort of physical address that's within your service area. So the number one thing that you need to do, step one with all this, do not skip this, is making sure that you actually verify your Google Business profile. The second thing that we're going to be looking at is going to be the name on your Google Business account. Okay, so again, same thing. This is something that you can update and edit inside of your Google Business profile. This is just going to be the name of your business. So you can see here I have two different examples that we're going over. We have Big Mites Performance, and then we have Big Mites Performance Physical Therapy. So a lot of times what I see with clinics and clinics names is we try to get a little too cute with it. And I was certainly like this. My physical therapy clinic's name was Ripple, and I wanted it just to be Ripple. I wanted that to be the brand. I kind of wanted it to be like a hidden, have to do a little bit more research to figure out what the hell we actually were. That was the wrong way to look at it, to be totally honest with you. I then have since updated it, and it's now Ripple Physical Therapy to include our target keyword in our name. And this is something that you need to be thinking about here. So when you go in and you set your name for your Google Business profile, you're going to want to make sure that your keyword is included inside of it. So on the second example that we have, Big Mites versus Big Mites Performance Physical Therapy, Big Mites Performance might be what you want to call your business, right? Because your performance, you don't want to associate with physical therapy. Again, I totally get it. But in order for you to be found for people searching for physical therapy, because that is what people are actually searching for, you're going to want to make sure that your keyword is included in your business name. And like a next step with that, if you can make it legit, is to add in the location as well. So between Big Mites Performance and Big Mites Performance Physical Therapy, if you could change it and update it to Big Mites Performance Physical Therapy Dallas, that's going to be key, because now you're showing, like exact match keyword inside of your name. So if somebody is searching for physical therapy Dallas, then you're going to show up really high within the Google Maps and on any sort of Google search. The trick with this, though, is you can't fake this, okay? This will ruin your Google verification. So if your LLC name or your actual clinic name doesn't include physical therapy or physical therapy Dallas, you're going to want to be very, very careful with this. So when you're adding your name and you don't have those things, then there's a handful of things that you can do. One of them, a very simple way to do this, is changing your DBA, okay? So you obviously have your LLC name, but you can change your doing business as name to whatever you want your name on Google Business to do. This costs anywhere between $20 and $100 to add this. It's going to depend on what state you're in, but that's a really easy way to just get some legal documentation to include your keywords in your actual name without changing your LLC name, because changing your LLC name is going to be a pain in the ass. It's going to be a whole thing to do. But if you change your doing business as, that's going to give you some legal documentation and is a nice little workaround and a cheap workaround to make sure that Google continues to verify you. You can also make sure that all of your other names across your platform, so on your website, on your Instagram profiles, on your YouTube channel, if you have Big Mites Performance Physical Therapy Dallas listed there as well, and it's consistent throughout, that's just going to be another verification for you, okay? So a really important thing here is to make sure that your name on your Google Business profile is legit, for sure. You're going to want to make sure that your keywords are added in there, and you're thinking about, like, what are people searching for? So for Big Mike here, if people are looking for physical therapy, they're probably typing in physical therapy Dallas, and they're going to see what results actually show up for that. So what we want to do is we want to take that search term there and we want to try to add it into our name so that that exact match shows up there, and it's really easy and it's really relevant for what people are actually searching for. So it's a really nice workaround, and what we're seeing right now is really moving the needle the most. You just need to, again, make sure that it's legit. And if you need to do a couple things, updating your name across other platforms or doing the DBA update, that's certainly something you can do. But the second thing that you are going to want to update in your Google Business profile is making sure that your name is set up correctly. The third thing, when you go into your Google Business profile, and if you want a really easy way to edit your Google Business profile, all you need to do is you can just type in Google Business Profile, and then you can go in and you can see where you can manage it. What I always do is I'll just type in the name of my clinic, okay? So if I was trying to edit Ripple's Google Business Profile account, I would just type in Ripple Physical Therapy Boston. That would show up at the top of the Google page, and you're going to see a nice block there where you can edit everything inside of your Google Business Profile. So you can change your name there, you can change the description. And the third thing that we're talking about is going to be adding services that you do. Again, this is something that just oftentimes gets skipped over, and a lot of people forget to do this or just don't think that it's important. To be honest, a year ago, it really wasn't super important, but now it is really important to make sure you're adding these services here. So Google's going to have a handful of pre-made services that you can go in and add. It's going to suggest a handful of things too, based on what your website is and what pages you have on your website. But what you can do is you can add custom services to your Google Business Profile. And this is where you can think about like, what is it that you actually do and really drill down here, right? Obviously you do physical therapy. So one of the ones that you're going to want to add is going to be physical therapy. Okay. That's a really easy one. You can add a description there. You're going to want to make sure you're including your keywords in that description as well. But think about the other things that you may be doing. Maybe you offer dry needling and you want to show up for dry needling. Adding dry needling as one of your services is going to be a really easy way to show up for when somebody searches best dry needling near me. You can also do things like if you're a running specific clinic, you can add in gait analysis can be one of the services. Maybe you have like a running evaluation that you can add on there. If you're a golf specific clinic, you can add like TPI screening and you can talk about your TPI screen and what you do there. Maybe you're a pelvic health clinic and you want to talk about pre and postnatal PT. That's really like a specialty service that you do. Again, you're going to want to add in as many things as possible here, just so you can start to show up for some of these searches. And again, this is a really big differentiating factor for your business because one, most physical therapy clinics out there are not doing this and they're not adding it in. And if you want somebody to find you on Google Maps or your Google Business Profile for a specific service, like dry needling, like a TPI analysis, like prenatal physical therapy, this is going to be one of the ways that you do it. And part of the secret sauce here of what you can do is, if somebody types in dry needling and your service shows up, they should then be redirected to your dry needling page on your website. Okay, so you're going to have like a specific landing page that's going to be a location and a keyword specific landing page. I call these money pages. And if you can have each one of these services then go to one of these money page landing pages, that's going to be a total unlock for your business. And Google is going to have a ton of trust because what Google is looking for is consistency throughout. So if somebody searches for dry needling Boston, one of the services in your Google Business Profile talks about dry needling in Boston, and then you get sent to a page that talks about dry needling in Boston, Google's going to have a ton of trust that they're sending whoever searched that to the correct page, and you're going to build that authority with Google, and Google's going to continue ranking you high for those specific services. So what you can do when you're adding these services, you can think about these as keywords that people might be searching for that your business does differently than everybody else, and you want to show up on top of Google Maps and on top of page 1 for. The key with this, and this is going to be a theme throughout here, is you're going to want to make sure you're going to refresh and update these on an ongoing basis. So you can certainly add as many as you want to begin with, but over time, every handful of months, you're going to want to go in and add a couple new ones, refresh the description, and just show that you're offering new services and your profile isn't stale. Okay, that's one of the biggest things that we're going to talk throughout all of these, but definitely with your services, as you're adding services, you're going to want to make sure you're going in there and updating those over time. So the third thing you're doing when you're setting up your Google Business Profile is going to be make sure that you're adding the specific services that your clinic does. The fourth thing that we're going to be talking about here is going to be adding high quality photos. This probably seems pretty obvious, right? That you want to add nice photos on your page. But I see it all the time when I look at clinics' Google Business Profile is they opened their clinic up 2 years ago. They set up their profile. They put a handful of pictures up there and they haven't updated them since. So the last photo that was added, and you can see this if you go in and you go to the Photos tab in your Google Business Profile, you can see the last time each photo was updated. So let's say last updated 2 years ago. That's not good. You're going to want to make sure that you're adding photos every 3 months onto your profile, again, to show that you are legit, you're in business, and people are coming in. And that's a really important thing to think about when you're adding these photos. It's great to have like nice pictures of all the equipment and still shots of your clinic to show it off. You certainly want that. But what Google's looking for here is it's people actually doing what that service is, okay? So you can see in this Google business profile that I have highlighted here, these people are in here, they're working out, they're getting wrapped. There's some dry needling photos down here. There's people lifting weights. So this is showing people actually in the gym, they're working out, they're getting physical therapy. So when Google sees that, then somebody searching for physical therapy, again, it's just going to be relevant to those searches. And that's what a really good Google business profile is going to look like. Think about the user experience too, right? If somebody types in performance physical therapy, so they're looking for physical therapy that's just a little bit more high leveraged, and all you have in there are going to be photos of, tables and people getting manual therapy. That's not going to resonate with what they're actually looking for. But if somebody's typing in performance physical therapy and they see photos in your Google business profile of people working out, people doing kettlebell stuff, getting dry needling, that is what people are going to be looking at. So you're going to want to make sure that your images show what your service actually is. And you're going to want to make sure that you're updating these consistently so the last photo on there wasn't added multiple years ago. Okay, so this is something really easy. Usually my suggestion to clinic owners is you're posting on Instagram probably a couple times a week. Do you have photos there that you then can repurpose and post on your Google business profile? That's a really easy way to do it. The one unlock here is going to be Google asks you to post a photo of the outside of your clinic. This helps just, again, verify that you have a legit clinic. But what Google's looking at here is going to be like, what does the exterior of your building look like? Because in theory, that's going to help somebody find you. Okay, so in your Google business profile, you can see here, this is the view if you just type in your clinic's name into Google, okay? And then you can see they have these little suggestions down here where you can add certain things. And one of the main ones that they suggest is adding an exterior photo. So you're going to want to go outside, take a photo of the exterior, take a photo of your front door, take a photo of the parking lot that you have there, and add that to your photos. And again, you're going to want to make sure you can update those over time. If it's wintertime and there's snow, if you have a picture there that shows snow or it's plowed or whatever it might be, again, this is what Google is looking for. So not only do you want to add photos of people actually getting services done inside of your clinic, but you're going to want to make sure that you're showing where your clinic is actually located. It's a really underrated thing, and most people will miss this. Google will pull the street view photo from Google Maps and add that to your account, but you're going to want to make sure you're manually adding this as well. Just again, re-verify that you have an actual legit clinic here. So you're going to want to make sure you do that. Another, pro tip with adding photos: when you download your photo, you can save it, and normally it'll save as like IMG 4587, whatever it ends up like, just default saving as. If you can change what that photo is saved as to your keyword, so again, dry needling Boston, physical therapy Boston, data analysis Boston, if you can have your keyword and the service within that saved photo and it uploads into Google that way, that's just another re-verification purpose that people are going to go to your profile and get what they're actually looking for. So the fourth thing, super easy. This is not difficult to do at all. You're going to want to make sure you're adding high quality photos to your Google business profile, and you're going to want to make sure that you're consistently doing that over time. The fifth thing is going to be choosing the correct category inside of your Google business profile. So when you sign up for your Google business profile account, you can choose the category of your business. Google has over 4,000 types of services that you can choose from. So there's a lot to actually choose from, but choosing the correct one is imperative to showing up for what people are searching for. Okay, so one of the best ways to do this is going to be seeing what some of your competitors have also have listed their clinic in. Okay, so if you just go and very simply type in, you can see here I typed in Portland, Maine physical therapy, and I've got the Google map results, and I can see all of these Google business profiles showing up here, and I can see what's showing up when somebody types in Portland, Maine physical therapy. So we've got the 2 sponsored ads here. These are, Portland Chiropractic Neurology. You can see their Google business profile is chiropractor. Whoever's running their ads is doing a poor job because this chiro clinic is showing up for Portland, Maine physical therapy. That's not good. They shouldn't be showing up for that. Hopefully they know that. And then we have another paid ad here that is a retirement community. So again, that's going to be their primary category that they're showing up for. Again, whoever's running these ads is not doing a good job. You should not be showing up for those searches, but that's neither here nor there. If we get down to the actual results that Google showed us, we can see Portland Physical Therapy. Their primary category is physical therapist. So that's good. That sounds correct. And then we have Alliance Physical Therapy. That is also's main category is going to be physical therapist. So if I'm looking at this and I see my competitors, their primary category is going to be physical therapist, that's probably what I'm going for. There are physical therapists, there's physical therapy clinic, there's sports rehab, there's a ton of different ones. So definitely do your research on what is going to be the most beneficial for your clinic. But I love seeing what the competitors are doing, mimicking that, and then just outdoing them on everything else. Because Google is obviously clearly showing these guys at the top. So that means that they're doing something correct. So what I would probably choose here as a primary category would be physical therapist. The other thing that you can do is you're going to be adding a secondary category. You can add as many of these secondary categories as you'd like. I certainly suggest adding as many as relevant, not as many as possible. You don't want to be showing up for, when I first set up Ripple's Google business profile, we had things like personal training, athletic training, massage therapy, and our results just got too jumbled here. So a lot of that stuff didn't make sense. So if athletic training or massage therapy or personal training doesn't make sense for your clinic, try and find other secondary categories that people might be searching for or something close to what that primary the secondary category would be, and show up for those things. But you're going to want to make sure you have those secondary categories on there. Aside from your actual business name, including the keywords, so again, going back to Big Mike's physical therapy, this is going to be the second thing that really moves the needle and gets you up to where you want to be on Google Maps and in Google search. So make sure that you are actually adding these and you're correctly adding them as well, and do a little bit of competitor research here. And if sports rehab makes sense for your clinic, maybe you're a little bit more on the sports performance side, certainly add that in there. But making sure that you actually have the category chosen and you are doing what your competitors are also doing is going to be the 5th thing to updating your Google business profile. And the last part, number 6, is going to be updating consistently. So what you should do is you should go into your Google business profile, make sure you've filled out everything possible on that account. So you've added posts, you've added services, you've got your primary category set up correctly, you've updated your hours, you've connected all of your social accounts. You want to make sure that you have everything possible filled out there. That's kind of step 1. You should have done that when you set up your profile. The next part is just not a set and forget thing. Okay, so this is almost like ongoing SEO. And, if you've listened to any of my stuff in the past, local SEO and finding local service businesses, which is what a physical therapy clinic is, it's all about updating your Google business profile on a consistent basis. So every month you should be in your Google business profile. You should be adding posts. You should be updating your hours. You should be doing everything you can, because that's what's going to keep you in the top 3 on Google Maps. So, you want to do things on your Google business profile. Like, if you're not updating it, then like Google is going to think that you're not in business anymore. There's hundreds of thousands of dead Google business profiles out there that haven't been updated in a while, and Google doesn't show those anymore. It's basically filtered all of those out. So if you, again, set up your account 2 years ago and you haven't touched it since, you might be getting filtered out because it hasn't been updated. So Google's going to think that you're closed if you're not updating your Google business profile. The easiest thing that you can do is you can add posts to your Google business profile. Okay, so these should be things that are updated every 2 weeks. You can repurpose Instagram content. You can repurpose blogs that you've written. You can just add a post on there. What you're going to do with these posts is add a high quality image, put a little bit of description, add a URL for a call to action. And you should be doing these things every 2 weeks. Again, we're just showing Google that we're in business and, we have an active account here. The second thing that you're going to want to do is whenever somebody leaves you a review, you're going to want to make sure you respond to that. You're going to want to respond to that feedback. One of the best things you can do to improve your SEO and get your clinic showing up at the top of Google Maps and on page 1 of Google is getting as many Google reviews as possible. But if you're getting 6 to 10 Google reviews every month and you haven't responded to any of them, that is a trust signal warning for Google that, again, like, I don't know if this place is actually in business or if they care about the reviews or if they think these reviews are legit. So if you can send a personal response back to whoever left that review, that is a really good trust signal for Google. We already talked about it, but photos, adding these in every 1 to 3 months, new services, new high quality photos, pictures of the exterior of your building, you're going to want to make sure that these are fresh and updated once a quarter is really where you want to get in there and start updating those. And then the last thing is going to be, reflecting the hours that when you're closed. Okay. So if you were closed for the 4th of July, but you didn't update your Google business profile to say that you were closed, and this is as easy as just like clicking a box in there, you're going to want to make sure you're doing that because, again, this is just showing Google that you're in business, and Google knows that you're not open for the 4th of July. But if you didn't have the time to go in there and actually update that and show that you were closed for that day or for upcoming Labor Day or for New Year's or for Christmas, if you're not updating your hours in there, then again, Google's just not going to have a ton of trust in you because they know most places are closed on Christmas Eve. But if you're not telling Google that and you're not telling your customers that, you're going to lose that trust with Google and they're not going to want to send people. So the people that aren't updating their Google business profile on an ongoing basis, their Google Map rankings look a lot like this. And again, if you're listening to this on the podcast, basically we have a map here, and this is a 5-mile radius from somebody's clinic, and it's showing where this clinic ranks within that 5-mile radius if people are searching for them within that 5-mile radius. So they're not in the top 5 at all and anywhere here. This was a Google business profile that we took over and we started updating all of these changes and posting consistently for them. So they went from, between 6 and 13 within a 5-mile radius on Google Maps rankings to top 10 throughout that whole 5-mile radius, and most of these rankings within the top 3, which is really what you want your Google Maps ranking to look like. So again, this stuff is not rocket science. There's not a ton of like crazy coding that has to be done like traditional SEO. There's certainly the next level of local SEO is building out local landing pages where your Google business profile can rank. That's where a lot of this technical SEO comes into play. But the competition on like ranking for a physical therapy clinic, it's not very high right now. It's not very tough to show up here. So if you're doing these 6 simple things on your Google business profile, you're going to put yourself in a really good position to start showing up on Google Maps, which is, we know, like where most of the search traffic is coming from. So those are going to be the 6 things that you're going to want to do. Go into your Google business profile, update all of those things, make sure your name is set up correctly, make sure you're adding photos, make sure you have services on there, make sure you're posting consistently, and that's where your Google Maps is going to go from, your clinic's going to go from not showing up on Google Maps at all to being in the top 5 and showing up showing up in places where maybe you're 5 or 10 miles away from your actual clinic. So you're going to start to get a lot of new people that may not have known you, because people who are in a 1-mile radius from your clinic probably know who you are. You're probably showing up on Google Maps just based off of proximity. But if you want to grow and scale your clinic, you need to start showing up in these areas that are 2 to 10 miles away from your actual clinic. And updating your Google business profile is really an easy way to do that. So we run free SEO audits for people all the time. So if you're a clinic owner and you want to find out where you are located on Google Maps, there's going to be a link in the description. You can sign up for a free SEO audit. We'll go over everything here, your Google business profile, where you're showing up on Google Maps, what type of domain authority you have with Google, and we'll take your Google Maps ranking from outside of the top 5 to top 3 within that 5-mile radius. This is super important. I've been talking a lot about this. We're seeing some really great results with the clinics that we're working with. So definitely do this. But to get started, take those 6 things, go in, refresh your Google business profile, and watch all the new patients come in the door.